Hey everyone, it's Tom. It's FANzine Live. I am absolutely thrilled to share with you the first of what will be a small handful, hopefully 4 videos, first-person videos that were done in the wake of Space 2026. This first video is again, a first-person video, which means that the creators are doing the talking as they do that top-down video look, and it is Bruce Chrislip. Bruce is the author of The Mini Comics Revolution, 1969 to 1989. It is a beautiful big book. The man has forgotten more about the undergrounds and post-undergrounds, the new wave, than I ever will learn. It's an amazing book. I'm still working my way through it, and I want to make sure that everybody gets themselves a copy. But I did say there were 2 people. The other one is Steve Willis, the original Phoenix Master, and the creative mind behind The Collected Cranium Frenzy, The Tragedy of Morty, Prince of Denmark, the collected edition, and With the Tide. So we are going to take a look at those 2 guys taking a look at a jam book that Bruce put together, collecting a number of their old pieces. It is really neat. The dialogue is really fun. And yeah, there were a couple technical hiccups. That said, it's a pretty cool video. And the guys were troopers for doing it. I hope you enjoy, and I will catch you next time.
Oh, that this too solid flesh would melt, thaw, and resolve itself into a dew, or that the everlasting had not fixed his cannon against self-slaughter. O God, how weary, stale, flat, and unprofitable seem to me all the uses of this world. Fie on't, oh fie! 'Tis an unweeded garden that grows to seed. Things rank and gross in nature possess it merely.
Today
All right.
is Monday, March 30th, 2026. We are here in the beautiful Town Place Suites. I'm your host, Bruce Chrislip, cartoonist and creator of the Mini Comics History, Mini Comics Revolution. We are speaking here today with Steve Willis, cartoonist of note, creator of Morty the Dog, Cranium Frenzy, and...
Oh, hello. It's great to be here in Ohio. I really enjoy attending Space. It's my 3rd time here. And right at the get-go, I want to thank Bob Corby and Bruce Chrislip. And
we'd like to thank the woman with the vacuum cleaner over there who's drowning us out.
and Tom Felrath
Tom,
for having.
isn't that lovely? Should we keep?
Hello.
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 Hello. As with jazz musicians, we like to improvise here. Sometimes we have no choice. We are back again with Steve Willis and me, Bruce Chrislip, creator of that wonderful Mini Comics History, Mini Comics Revolution. Once upon a time, in Seattle, back in the dim, distant past, pre-Fantagraphics even, Steve and I got together and did many jams. I've collected these in this new zine right here, Jamming with Steve. Would you care to comment?
I believe the HD was for a pseudonym, which was Herb Dwillis.
Herb Willis.
Herb Dwillis.
This appeared in Cartoon Lunacy originally.
And when I would do jams with the collector, Lynn Hansen, who was not an artist, the HD stood for Hot Doggies. And I see there are no periods there.
That's right. No periods were used in the making of this cover.
That's right.
Okay, the forward. I say Steve Willis is a cartoonist that needs no introduction.
Oh, then we can just move on.
That's right. Actually, October, Halloween, 1983, I was on a Greyhound bus traveling from Seattle, Washington to Pullman, Washington on the far eastern edge of the state.
What a fun ride that must have been.
It sure was. My mission, to see Robert Crumb, to hear him speak, and to meet Steve Willis for the first time.
That's a journey of over 300 miles over very hot terrain, too.
Well, it was a date with destiny. I drew this during my trip to Pullman, Washington on Halloween 1983. We saw Robert Crumb, R. Crumb, the famous underground cartoonist. And that night, we drew this Morty comic together. As you can see, there's a little jam drawing right here, signed Chrislip and Willis.
It's one of the very few Morty comics that's involved with another artist. I also jammed later with Mark Myers on a few, and also recently with Paul Toomey. But Morty comics that's not solo is very rare. And Morty Comics started in February 1983. I did the first 1,000 issues in the first year. I would usually mail one with each a piece of mail, and back then the mail was thick and thin. That kept up until the end of 1999. Then I stopped for 10 years and resumed in 2010, and now I am up to the 14,000 range. And here, since we are now in beautiful Hilliard, Ohio, I usually write down where I'm at if I'm not at home. When I do, though, I'm up to 14,000 plus.
And this has inspired me to do my own version of Morty comic called Discards. Here's issue 117 with the Toast Head Gang.
Yeah, it's nice, and if everybody gets a little bit of original art, it's sort of like the prize in the cereal box when I send them out.
And you don't have to eat that terrible cereal to get it. Right before Christmas in 1985, Steve Willis and the late Michael Dowers, comics publisher of Starhead Comics, publisher of comic books just like this, Morty the Dog, number 1.
Wait a minute.
What the heck is this?
Yeah, what is this? Tell them about it.
Well, it's a long story. We only have 15 minutes. But Michael Dowers started out doing mini comics, and he was so taken with the whole idea of comics that he decided to go direct market, starting in 1986. So he had many Starhead comics, including this one. We'll get back to that later, because I got to talk about our visit a few days before Christmas, 1985. Michael and Steve and I got together in my spacious Wallingford apartment. It was a time of great intellectual discussion, as we say in this comic strip documenting it, where Steve asked a musical question: if you could be one of the Three Stooges, which one would you be?
And I would be Shemp, because he died when I was only a week old, and he had a son named Morty. Plus, I think he's the funniest one.
I would probably be Joe Besser, the short-lived stooge. You crazy. Okay, well, anyway, fun visit.
You're the only person I know who would answer that way with that question.
As you can see in this picture, we downed many cans of Olympia beer.
I went to high school only less than a mile away from the Olympia Brewery, and on hot days we could smell the hops.
In the current March 2026 issue of Comic Book Creator, John Cook's wonderful magazine, there's a photo of me and Steve in my apartment on this very day with our stubby beer bottles in hand, flannel shirt clad.
Pure Northwest.
While there, the three of us jammed on this comic, Up Down Funnies. Probably one of these things that was more fun to do than it is to read. But
that is frequently the case with jams.
Frequently the case. Moving ahead to 86, there's a small press review zine called Small Press Comics Fanola. Reviewer KT Lee was so taken with the work of Steve Willis, she said this: overall, Steve Willis is a master with a Monty Python-esque flair and a penchant for reaching new highs with each new work. So I drew Steve flying up in the air right next to his drawing board. I don't know if you can see, there's a drawing of Morty with a question mark above his head.
I still have that piece of art. For you trivia fans, the publisher of Small Press Comics Fanola is now running a YouTube channel under the name Stifled Voice, and he has animated many of my comics.
Okay, jumping back in time a few years, in 1984, Steve proposed we do a jam where Morty the Dog interviews me, Bruce Chrislip. Says, hiya gang, Morty the Dog here.
Yeah,
Today I'm interviewing comics artist, publisher, and journalist Bruce Chrislip. And in a thought balloon, I'm thinking, Willis sends a dog to interview me. Great.
And I see you're using Zipatone here.
Oh yes, Zipatone, which was a thing back then, now unavailable.
Now people use computers for that.
I like this 4-page story so much. It ran in the Cartoon Lunacy APA, and then later in one of the issues of Paper Tales, my self-published comic book from 1992 and 1993. Here we have a drawing Steve did, no jamming this time, just a drawing Steve did for my zine, City Limits Gazette. This was from the All Comics issue.
Yes, it's a dated piece too.
Sony Walkman and the
Yeah.
Sonny Walk Mom.
Yep.
The Walk Mom, of course, Mom's nagging Sonny. Pick up your feet, don't slouch, comb your hair. We got together with other mini comics cartoonists on occasion. This was from the 1990s at a NorwestCon science fiction convention
Held at SeaTac,
held at SeaTac.
which is a city as well as an airport.
Yes, it was a hotel at the SeaTac airport. For lunch, we went out to the Pizza Hut, and they had these little placemats with drawings of the Muppets, which we had to decorate and embellish with our jams. So taking part was me, Steve, Roberta Gregory, Brad Foster, Donna Barr, and Mark Campos. Steve can't find his art here, but he must have contributed something because he signed it. I'm sure the face here of the stoned out Muppet. Ooh, the colors.
Yeah, that's Foster.
Brad Foster. The dinosaur-like lizard is Roberta Gregory. The woman trapped inside an egg is Donna Barr.
And that's allegedly me, but
That's allegedly.
it looks like Mark Campos.
I think that, well, who knows? It's one of those things.
Leave an enigma.
Leave an enigma, enter a mystery, leave an enigma.
Mm-hmm.
This was a cover of one of the issues of City Limits Gazette. Wonderful classic pose of Morty the dog with a singing fire hydrant.
Mm-hmm.
Morty with a cigar in hand.
Yes, right hand.
I do not think he borrowed the cigar from Howard the Duck,
No.
but who knows?
That's something Marty and I share, a love of cigars.
Another gem similar to what you see on the front cover. Again, BC and HD.
Mm-hmm.
Yet another gem, BC and HD. There's a variation of this same gem, on my part of it, done with the great gag cartoonist Bob Voitko.
And he is one of the greats. He's probably the strongest in composition, in the art of composition in gag panels of anybody I know.
Yes, if you're listening, Bob, you're one of our fave cartoonists.
We wish you were here.
We wish you were here, but maybe you can watch this online, so you don't have to be. And besides, you get to hear us a lot easier than our first attempt.
Yeah, and plus you can turn us off when you want.
Wonderful. Okay, the Cartoon Lunacy was an amateur press association, all cartoonists, one of the rare ones that's all cartoonists. Started in 1984 by George Erling. This is the cover of the 10th anniversary issue.
Mm-hmm. And Bruce, you and I were in the very first group.
That's right.
Kind of in a very small group.
We were founding members of Cartoon Lunacy, which is still going on to this day.
Mm-hmm.
The little inset here of Steve Willis art, Willis is saying, caffeine-crazed carpet cleaner runs amok in El Paso.
Yep.
Last seen, headed north. A worried-looking Morty scurries about saying, I'll hide the silverware.
Yes, that was from a jam that Brad and I did in the early 80s called One Normal Guy Talking with a Nut. And after you read it, there's no doubt who the nut is.
Okay, others that took part in this, well, because it's a collage, it became a jam. The late, great John Edgar, Gary Fields.
Yay!
Here's Steve, our fave cartoonist.
There's Voitko.
Bob Voitko lecturing a miniature Brian Buniak, and 2 pieces by George Erling on the bottom.
And I'm working right now on a jam with George. I think we're on page 3. And it's pretty fun. It's fun working with him. He's one of the greats.
Steve visited Space, the small press alternative comics expo, for the first time. Columbus, Ohio Comics Festival. This was in 2011.
Yep.
15 years ago, more or less.
Wow.
In March.
Oh, man.
Yes, in March. Maybe a week or so earlier than this.
Yeah.
This is a jam that was put together at the show. The top drawing was drawn by me, where the clown is saying "Voot Voot" of Vooterini. That was actually drawn in 1992, and the rest of this was drawn at the show. So we have Dan Taylor with the vootiest voot I've ever seen.
Great guy.
Steve Willis drew Oscar stepping out in his voot suit. Michelangelo Ciccarone. Oh man, I hope I didn't murder your last name. Sorry, Mick. Another Voot beer tarbender.
Mm-hmm. And we just saw him yesterday.
Yes, we did. Bob Corby drew an owl vooting at the supermoon, which happened that day. And Kel Crum had the sticker. He said, I vooted today.
We saw Bob and Kel as well.
Sean Beery has 2 people playing Scrabble. One is looking it up in Webster's to see if voot is actually a word. Nope.
Didn't that have something to do with the APA called Booty?
Yes, that is exactly right. Years before Cartoon Lunacy, in the 1970s into the early 80s, there was another all-cartoon APA called Voody.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came out of Minnesota. That's where Reed Waller first drew Omaha, the cat dancer.
Okay, I seem to remember as a child having a toy called a Voodie. It was like a
Yes,
giant
yeah,
insect, like
yes,
an ant or something.
yes.
It was like Mr. Potato Head almost. It had parts that came off and on.
Voodie was about funny animals, vegetables, and minerals. No funny humans. So that was their rule.
Oh,
After that ended, George Erling started Cartoon Lunacy
okay.
in March 1984. In 2022, I was out visiting Seattle, and I met up with Steve and an old friend, Bob Baines. We sat around the Seattle Center House and jammed on some drawings.
In the shadow of the Space Needle.
In the shadow of the Space Needle. And this is where I drew these, the top and bottom part. And Steve says he was so inspired by our meeting and subsequent meeting with cartoonist and author Paul Toomey that he really got back into self-publishing.
That's correct. My computer crashed in 2021, and I just never brought it back. And I started drawing Morty comics right away. And after several months of that, I wanted to do the other half of cartooning, which is writing. And I really wanted to tell some stories. And so I just needed to have a little bit of incentive, and Bruce and Paul both gave me that incentive. Paul, I think, held up or mentioned Cranium FANzine number 10, and he said, "This is your last work in 2003. That's your last book."
So that would have been 19 years earlier?
Yes.
2003 to
Yeah.
2022?
And I had done mini comics, 8-page mini comics in that time, but not a full-length book. So I went back into full-length books big time. I have a lot of stories still to tell. So I've probably done about 50 books, I think, in that time since then.
I want to backtrack back to the cover here. I mentioned that I did about 15 of these expressly for Space this year, jamming with Steve. So this was originally a print, and I hand colored each one, each differently. I hand lettered each one. There's variations on these. To fill it out, I added some extra Morty comics art. Here's a trio of covers dating back to 1983. One from May, two from October, right before I met Steve.
Those are oldies.
Oldies, but goodies. This is probably the other pages from those.
Yeah, they were sent with everybody who corresponded with me got one. And starting around 2011, I began hiding them in public places because my mail really dropped off since everybody was using email. So I had all these Morty comics, and I figured, well, somebody will find them. So they're kind of like little cartoon bombs I hide in places, and people discover them. And occasionally, somebody who discovers them will contact me, and they'll become a regular reader. And one person found one in the library book and had it tattooed on their leg.
Okay.
I think that was in the 4,000 range somewhere.
Okay, then.
Yeah, okay.
Morty's everywhere. Okay, so we go from 1983. Here's the other side of that one. And you said you were visiting some people in March 1999 in Ocean Shores.
Right. Hey, look, that's today, March the 30th.
That is fate.
That's 27 years ago.
That is fate. And when Steve,
where's the theremin when we need one?
I don't know. And when Steve and I met and gave a talk in Seattle at this year's short run on November 1st, that was the anniversary of our meeting Robert Crumb, 1983 to 2025. Wow. Ain't it something?
Yeah.
Here's another one. This is 2010, jumping ahead from 1999 to 2010. So
look at the date, 11/5.
Yeah, November 5th, 2010. This is 2179. This is only 2216. You stopped doing these for a while.
Obviously. I did, 10 years.
In 1986, Michael Dowers published his first direct market comic book, Starhead Presents #1, featuring Morty the Dog and the Shadow of the Rainbow. 5,000 copy print run. The first 50 copies were signed and numbered with a unique Morty comic.
Those were a little bit, they were difficult to do because Morty comics, I can screw them up and just throw it in the wood stove if it's not good. But in this case, I couldn't do that. So they had to be...
This was the inside front cover of each.
Yeah, each one had to be okay.
Drawn June 16th, 1986. This is number 6 of 50. And on the other here, that's number 3 of 50. And I might mention there are 5,000 of these. To save money, Michael Dowers collated each and every one by hand.
He was crazy. And He claimed to love it. He claimed to love it.
He was dedicated. He was dedicated.
I think he said he found it to be a Zen-like state. But
I have to mention Michael again. Just a wonderful guy. Unfortunately, he is no longer with us.
Yeah.
But he was such a big part of the original Seattle comic scene. And I have to mention, he helped me publish my zine, the City Limits Gazette #6, in early 1983. That's where he first saw the work of Steve Willis. He was so impressed by Steve's work. That summer, Michael drove across state, I should say.
yeah,
You said 300 miles. In his pickup truck, dumping buckets of water on his head because he had no air conditioning, just to meet Steve and tell him he wanted to publish Steve, which he surely did.
yeah, he was Seattle's premier comic publisher in the '80s, and I really miss. Oh, I miss Michael personally, but I also miss the work he published, especially in the first half of his publishing years, was very Northwest. It was kind of a funky, intimate kind of humor, and there was a lot of local humor in it. And it was something that most people who live in the Pacific Northwest, we're kind of an isolated part of the country. Well, we were then.
You're a member of the Northwest comics art scene. You're one of the representative people, just as Gary Larson is and was. Gary Larson also lived in Seattle.
Yes.
The far side, just the approach to the sense of humor. And if any people out there from the programming committee on Cartoon Crossroads Columbus see this, Steve Willis would make an excellent guest. He went to Evergreen State College with Matt Groening and Linda Berry and Charles Burns. And besides that, he has his own body of work. Matt Groening called him a genius at the San Diego Comic-Con in 1985. I mean, what more do you need? On that note, let's have a round of applause for Steve Willis. We didn't do a question. Do you have anything to add as a last minute note?
Well, I don't know how much of this got buried by the vacuum cleaner in the front of this, but I really want to thank Bob Corby and you, Bruce, and Tom Felrath.
Yes.
All three of you for being such wonderful hosts. I love coming to Space. This is my third visit.
We're wrapping up a great Space Comics weekend here.
Right. And if you're more interested in more of my work, please check out Tom Felrath and his Phoenix Productions.
Phoenix Productions. Look for the Collected Cranium Frenzy 4-volume set and the Tragedy of Morty, Prince of Denmark.
Yeah, it's Hamlet. Morty as Hamlet. And he's done a wonderful job of restoring my old work. And he's relieved me of any kind of concern about looking back. So Tom has freed me up to look forward and still create more comics, which is what really makes me happy. So thank you, Tom. Thank you, Bruce.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Bob.
And thanks for watching this, all you people out there in video land. Peter Bagg had a little dinner party or something. She just walks in the door, unannounced. Is this where the party is?
Are we recording? It's working?
Okay.
You're capturing our vocal cord emanations?
It sure looks like it.
We're caught in a trap.
So. This is like going to be one of those things that we have when we're rolling the credits. Like,
I see.
Are you
okay.
capturing us?
Okay.
Yeah.